All right, good afternoon. Welcome back to Medicine to Macro. Really interesting story just came across my desk and to do with Mandami and the purported 5 new grocery stores that are going to be selling all of the main things that we buy at the grocery store for about 30% less. And they're going to be heavily subsidized. So I'm going to dissect what's going on here. I'm going to explain it in layman's terms, and I'm going to give my diagnosis on why this government intervention is a horrible idea. Okay. So I'm going to bring up the screen share here, put myself down here. And this came out today. This is an update. And you see Mondami holding some bananas with a 30% off sign, right? And this sounds fantastic for individuals that live close to these purported stores that are going to open in 2027. We're going to get into it. All right. So essentially what's happened is Mayor Mamdani in New York has put forward this goal of opening 5 new grocery stores within a couple of years. That's going to sell a lot of the main produce, dairy, seafood, meat, a lot of the perishable products, and around 20 other items, like basically core goods, at 30% less than what other private entities sell for. Okay. And here now there's actually the Multicultural Business Coalition is suing the city of New York, right? And they're arguing that it would introduce unfair competition to a struggling local industry already dealing with slim profit margins. And to give you an idea of slim, if you go to Walmart, Target, Whole Foods, especially these mom and pop stores, they are operating on net margins. So the money they take home is around 1 to 3%. So it's already extremely low. If you introduce these government-sponsored entities that are through subsidies, through taxpayer dollars, are able to drop the prices down, they're going to go out of business, right? So that's the concern that they have. Okay, so you can see here, it says the mayor said that the subsidized stores reflect a cost of living crisis that has seen grocery prices increase by about 30% over the past few years. So in my research, it shows since 2019, right before COVID, that the prices of these goods have gone up by about 30%. So it's absolutely nothing to do with when we shut down the economy and then we laid out this massive stimulus that caused the prices of everything to go up, not just groceries. That's the main reason why. In addition, what else is going on that's causing the prices of all these goods to go up? It's probably due to diesel, right? And I just talked about this in a recent video. Diesel's now at $5.60 a gallon. I think that's the average. That bleeds over into trucking costs, freight costs. So all of these goods that go to these stores in New York, Chicago, Boston, what have you, those costs get passed through to companies, these stores that already have extremely thin margins. Okay. So something to consider when you're reading this stuff, to understand the dynamics, to understand the distortions that are occurring, then this is to have massive ripple effects. Okay. And that's why I'm highlighting this. So Mamdani floated the stores on the campaign trail as a part of his affordability agenda, arguing that subsidized supermarkets focusing on cheap, healthy foods would help New Yorkers adapt to rapidly rising food costs. Okay. A response to this. So there's about 8.5 million people in the 5 boroughs of New York. So they're going to open 5 stores. That is going to cause a massive amount of increased demand because they're capping those prices. So there's not going to be nearly enough supply for all of that demand. So you're going to have queues, you're going to have shortages, you're going to have all these different distortions. And they're not addressing the real cause of rapidly rising food prices. There's a lot of different reasons why that can bleed into higher food prices, right? But this is the wrong way to go about it, in my view. And so right here, they're doing a core basket of staples up to 30%. We just mentioned this. And then down here, it says the mayor's allocating $70 million towards the stores. So this is $70 million of taxpayer funds, right? That $70 million is going to get taken away from somewhere else, right? Whether that's increased taxes, whether that's decreased public services somewhere else. Okay. So like Thomas Sowell always says, there's no solutions, there's only trade-offs. And you're seeing a trade-off in real time here. Now, this hasn't come to fruition yet, but it's not gonna benefit nearly as many people as a lot of people think. It sounds good and it's politically expedient. Okay, well, grocery prices, gas prices are through the roof. What are we going to do? Price controls. All right. And so it talks about here. So basically, in late 27, they're going to open a 15,000 square foot store, and then another 12,000 square foot store in Manhattan. And like we talked about, I want to talk about what some of the costs are. Okay, so when you have these entities, so there's going to be private companies that come in that work basically hand in hand with the government to run these stores. There's a couple of problems with that. Okay. When you are backed by the government and you have subsidies, that capital, those operators are not pressured like they are in the usual market, right? So they don't have pressures of being able to optimize costs, optimizing inventory, making sure they hire and fire appropriately, making sure they reduce what's called shrinkage. And in my research, I actually learned this. So shrinkage is the inventory a store should have based on purchases and recorded sales versus what it actually has when everything's counted. Now, increased shrinkage is bad. That basically means that you're getting decreased revenue because the amount of product that you either lose via theft or it becomes unsaleable because it's perished or it's spoiled, it becomes damaged, or because there's admin or paperwork error. When you have these government entities, that it becomes much more inefficient. That's just the way things work. Think about in 2008, the GFC, people lost their jobs, right? What do people do when they lose their jobs? They go back to school. So the government backs them. Sounds great, right? Oh, make education affordable. What do all of these, not every single school, but a lot of the schools, they become fat and lazy because now they have these government subsidies backing a lot of these borrowers. So they hike up tuition costs because the demand has gone through the roof. And then they don't have to make sure that they're staying competitive, that they're offering the best programs, that they get the graduates into good programs or good schools or good jobs afterwards, right? It becomes fat and lazy. It's the same thing like with tariffs, with protectionism. What you're doing is you're favoring a few companies domestically. And what do? Right? They no longer have competition. So they become inefficient. They just hike their prices just above the tariff price. And then it's bad for consumers as well, because on average, just like in this example, a lot of the individuals in New York are not going to live close enough to these subsidized grocery stores to be able to take advantage of it. And then there's actually probably going to be less private options because a lot of these mom and pop stores nearby are going to go out of business. Why? Because they can't afford to sell these goods at a 30% discount when they already have to worry about rent. They have to worry about taxes. They have to worry about labor costs. They have to worry about shrinkage costs, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to go under, or they're going to cut hours, or they're going to let people go. And so you're going to have more people without jobs who are not going to be able to afford food, right? Or you have the people who still have jobs that are going to have less of a choice because a lot of these mom and pop stores and a lot of these bodegas have gone under. And now then even more people are trying to get into one of these 5 grocery stores, right? So you can see why you're artificially increasing demand and you're cutting down the supply. You're reducing the incentive for private companies to come in and invest. Why would you? It's the same thing with rent controls, with properties, right? Why, for me, I'm a retail investor, why do you think I don't invest in California or New York or Boston? Because of price controls, right? Because I don't know, my incentive isn't there because my taxes have gone up, my insurance has gone up, my HOA fees have gone up, but I can't raise the rent. I can't raise my income commensurate with my input costs. So then I'm either going to let the current properties that I have go to crap because I'm not going to invest in it because then I can't charge a higher rent. And then around and around we go. So I really wanted to highlight this story because it's actually not just New York. They're talking about rolling this across in Chicago, in Boston, in LA, and especially with the midterms coming up. We don't know what's going to happen, but it could definitely shift from right to left. And you're going to start seeing more of these politically expedient ideas trying to be rolled out. And New York's like the poster child, and I understand that. All right. And I have a few other things I wanted to mention here. I think that's it. Okay. So if you see this, I want you guys to understand what's going on. They will hold up bananas and say 30% off. Great. That's great for the people that are close to that store, who have access to it. You have that consumer surplus. But for everybody else that are paying taxes, right, that's going to be funds that are taken away. It's going to be stripped from other public services. It's going to be increased taxes, and it's an inefficient use of capital, right? And I'm much more in favor of giving people more money to spend through SNAP benefits. It's not the most ideal thing in the world, but it's better than this, because this is going to cause a lot of people, a lot of businesses to go out of business because they just can't compete. Okay. So thank you for tuning in. And I hope that you got something out of this. Again, understanding the mechanics behind all of these different government policies, as soon as they're implemented, there's second, third, fourth order effects. And that will hit home for retail investors, for the average consumer. The groceries and the gas and the effect or the cost of owning a home, it's all going up. But it's because, and there's a lot of different factors, but a lot of it is because of the widespread distortions that are created by government intervention. And then they come in on a white horse, like a white knight, to fix the problem that they created. Okay. So with that, guys, have a great afternoon. As always, thank you for tuning in to Medicine to Macro. I will see you on the next video. Cheers.